Hello and welcome back to the Resilient Kid podcast with me, Ashley Costello, psychotherapist of over 25 years. I have two amazing guests. I have a particularly special guest today who I will introduce in a moment. So last week's podcast was all about anxiety and how anxiety really impacts our kids, what we can do about it, how we can support them, what it looks like, whether that's in the body or in their behavior. And as I was doing that podcast, because that was asked for on a poll that you guys wanted to help kids with anxiety, up pops a little Facebook post by a beautiful friend of mine, Gracie Barry. Hey, Lisa.
Hello.
And she is putting out there that one of her 3 daughters, Gracie Barry, has written her own book all about anxiety. And Gracie is not going to be seen on camera. So if you're watching this on YouTube, those who are podcasting, absolutely everybody, you can hear it and you'll hear Gracie. But those who are watching on YouTube, she's just... No, that way.
This is like the space here where she doesn't want to fill.
Yeah.
She is here.
She is there. It is not Lisa doing a ventriloquist dummy act. That's not in Lisa's capabilities that I know of. No. Anyway, so we're going to get into it. So first of all, I'm kind of going to talk to Lisa. I'm going to talk to Mom a little bit as we kind of slowly get into this. First of all, Lisa, how proud are you of your girl?
I mean, to be 11 and have a book published that has been so well received, and I've heard from so many people what a difference it makes, how often children hearing from other children is a very powerful thing as well. And I've had so much of that positive feedback. But genuinely, if we look back on, where Jeff came from and the place that Gracie was in when she wrote Jeff, and I've just had to get her from her friend's house today because she went around her friend's house straight after school, and how actually genuinely using Jeff, like Jeff has been and still is a tool. And it really has helped her she's moved forward in strides and strides with managing her anxiety. It doesn't mean Jeff's still there. Jeff is definitely still there, but she's able to manage and navigate life better now. And bringing Jeff to life has definitely been a big part of that.
Amazing. So thank you for that. Hi, Gracie.
You hear that little hi.
And do you know what I just want to say, as a therapist, as a mom, and as a friend of your mom's, I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast, because I really wanted to be able, I would love, like Helen, so let's just show everybody, this is the book.
We're so happy for Helen.
Illustrated, yes. Like Helen, wanted to be able to amplify this voice because it is so important. And I got your book and read it like immediately. It was like, stop the clock. Nobody's having dinner until I've read this book. And
she's got a big smile on her face.
Cool. Because I really wanted to amplify, and it's really important because it doesn't matter what adults say sometimes. It's the fact that it's you talking to other kids, Gracie, that might be struggling as well. And so, one, I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. And 2, I just want to say massive, get your mum to give you a big hug and a big pat on the back, because what I'm asking you to do, most adults don't like doing. So yes, okay, you're not on camera, which I don't care, by the way, it does not matter to me. But the fact that you are brave enough and courageous enough to come and talk about this amazing creative project of yours. So yeah, just a big thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you are going to help so many more people and so many more kids. And actually, I can feel like I'm going to be buying this in bulk and just getting it out there to all the kids that I see. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So
in my hand at the moment.
Cool. So big question, Gracie. Why did you call your anxiety monster Jeff? I'm really intrigued.
Because well, on one of the pages it does mention like give it a funny name, and I was kind of just like writing it, and I thought, I didn't even think of like a funny name. I just thought Jeff. Like I felt like that. I don't know what it was. It just felt like it suited the book and like all this other stuff. I just felt like it suited, like the name Jeff suited. I think I was going to call it Stanley, and then I just decided that was too long and hard to spell. So I just went with Jeff because it was really easy to spell.
Can I just
ready?
Yeah, and them all. So awesome. Like I love the name Jeff, right? And I have actually just I when we got the book, obviously I'd read it, put it on the side, and my son Finn, who your mum has met, said, "Oh, Jeff, that'd be an amazing name for a dog." And I said, "I'll tell you what, if you read the book, tell me if you would still call it Jeff." And he went, "No, because I think I might kick it and I wouldn't want to do that with a dog." Yeah, absolutely. And yeah. So Jeff, did you pick the color purple? Was that something between you and your creative illustrator?
Yeah, because when I was writing it, I imagined him being purple because, well, like, I don't know what it was, but on one of the, like, as I was writing the book, there were none of the images to go off of, and I just wrote, he is purple because I just thought
the first line, isn't it? Is,
he is
this is Jeff, short for Jeffrey. I'm showing it up for anybody who's
Jeff is the name I gave to my anxiety as a purple slime ball, which is what I came up with. I just felt like purple was like an anxiety color. I don't know why.
Cool. I love it. So if you was, obviously we want lots of people to buy your book. But could you tell us a little bit about why you thought it was so important to write this book for others, for other kids?
You don't know. That's okay that you don't, because you did. Okay. I think there is an important factor in this, is that you did it for yourself, didn't you? Because we were talking. I think we're okay to talk about the fact that you were seeing cams at the time. You were seeing, and it was Gracie. She's off camera. You can see that she once she gets going, you can't stop her. She won't stop. But when she meets new adults, it takes her a little bit of time. And you get sent to these counsellors or these therapists, and it can take a lot of time to build up a relationship. And you use something else as well, gacha, wasn't it? Yeah. Which is what could you, if you took somebody who didn't know what gacha was?
It's like this like little app thing where like you can just like create like chibi anime characters, and I used it to like, because I didn't really know how to explain it, like how I felt. I used it to create like images of how I felt.
That's amazing.
And that was the first thing that we did, and then we could show that to the therapist, and that sped it. You get like 6 sessions, so immediately you're speeding up the process, because it would take 6 of those for Gracie to even utter a word. So it really helped that process. And it was at that time then that it was like, how can we we wanted to understand how Gracie was feeling and how we could help her. So we were trying to encourage different ways of her communicating, and Jeff was born. So it really was a case of it being, I think that's actually one of the things that makes it so, because sometimes adults can come up with these things, can't they, to help children, but Gracie used this to help herself, to help describe to us. The biggest line you said to me, where I said, you need to write this down, that's like crazy good, was when you said,
residue of worry.
Residue of worry. You said that it's always, no matter how much fun I'm having, it's like there's a residue of worry. And that was the idea of him being slimy, and everywhere he goes, there's this residue of worry that's left. And
yeah. Do you know what? That's on camera there. And that's kind of really, for me, I felt like that was a really powerful, because I think a lot of times, and a lot of adults, particularly teachers, think, okay, so you're having a really good day today, so there is no anxiety there. And sometimes the way you describe it is that kind of a low level or he's just asleep. And I love that because it can pop up anytime. You can wake him up anytime. Doesn't mean say you can't have fun. You can still have fun, but it's not that the anxiety's gone away. It's just that it's less today. And I felt like that was really articulate of you, Gracie, to explain that, because a lot of adults just don't get that unless they've struggled with anxiety themselves. So I thought that was,
and that, when she said that, that's exactly what I felt. Exactly. I was like, that is a really good way, because often, and even as an adult with a child, when you've got a child with anxiety that is, debilitated, that it impacts on daily life, it can be, you want to fix it for them. You want to take it all away. You want the solution. And I can very easily fall into, we turned a corner. Is this it? Have we sorted it? And actually, it's not about that. It's about sometimes learning and accepting to live with things and understanding that residue of worry, and understanding that what we really, how the book progresses, where, we don't get rid of, she's very clear about this. She didn't want to get rid of Jeff. She didn't want to beat Jeff forever.
I think I remember you saying, like, oh, what if, like, you got rid of him in the book? And I was like, but I don't get rid of him. I can't get rid of him. And
that's not the idea, is it? So in the end, we've got, I hope I'm not spoiling this for anyone. So I'm sure. If I'm giving any spoilers, but there's a point where Jeff really causes trouble. And then Mum, this is an all my crier. My mum's, would you want to read that bit?
My mum scooped me up and cuddled me. This didn't make Jeff go away, but it did shut him out a bit.
And I love that, that a mum's cuddle could just shut him up for even if just a little while.
Just managing that expectation as well, isn't it? For me as well.
It is. And I think the thing is, we do think we're magic as mums, but there's some stuff that we just can't magic away, no matter how good those cuddles are or hugs or whatever. And I think for me, Gracie, it feels really important that you have said that you haven't just went and he was banished, or he's gone, because actually he isn't, or he might come back. And I think for other kids to understand that you can still have really good days, even if you struggle with anxiety, is amazing. And there's going to be days that are going to be rubbish.
And you have lots of good days now, don't you?
Yeah.
She's got a big smile on her face.
Yes.
Like, I was having a good day. I was having like a really good day, and then a small thing, I think somebody in my class was just like being a bit mean. That did throw me off a little bit. But then I went back to having fun, and then I ended up being sad again because of all this stuff. And days can just kind of go like up and down and up and down, and it's really annoying because I just want to be able to like have like one good day, and then even if it's just one bad day, then the rest are good. But you can't. You can have one like 50-50, one mostly bad and some good. And
I think there's a really good. I think that really is. We all just want good, even just saying good days, even that we can have good hours. We can have good mornings.
Good minutes.
Good minute. Let's go for a good minute. and understanding that is okay to look at it that way, and that we haven't got to fix everything. We haven't got to make everything perfect. We can just shut Jeff up for a bit.
And also, I guess, Gracie, that kind of thinking about it in good minutes also means that if you're not having a good minute, if you're having a bit of a bad minute, it will pass. There will be a good minute coming, even if it's not straight away.
She's nodding. Yeah.
Yeah. But my guess is that you working through this and whether it was with counselling, whether it's with Mum, whether it's doing it with Helen, but working through it has give you those kind of real insights into good minutes. And it's, and I don't need to banish him just to make this story at the end. The ending is still good, even though Jeff is still there. But it's really insightful what you've done. And I guess you've probably learned a lot on the way of just writing this down and working with Helen to illustrate it.
Yeah. thing is, it's also good because when I'm like anxious and I don't really know how to like say it, I can sort of be like, oh, Jeff was like halfway up his ladder, like sort of explain where Jeff is and how I feel, because Jeff, I can be like, oh, Jeff is halfway up his ladder, oh, Jeff is like sleeping, like I can like explain how I feel with Jeff there, like.
And we still use that. I think when you first started at your new school in September, didn't you have there was a fidget toy or something that you named Jeff in a quiet room that you were given for some space. So it's like Jeff was embodied in this room. It was a fidget toy. So she'd go and bash Jeff for a bit.
It was a wiggly slug.
Oh, a wiggly slug.
Which is even perfect because slugs are slimy.
Yeah, so you wiggled him for a bit.
And but how kind of cool that is, because sometimes it's really hard for even as adults to express how we feel, but to go, well, Jeff is there, kind of gives the other people around you, you know, especially I guess for mom or dad or teachers, that actually Jeff is halfway up his ladder, so they kind of can check in with you without you having to go, I feel like this today, because sometimes that's hard.
Yeah, and I think having the language for things, because if you don't have the language to express it, it isn't, you can't share that experience. You can't ask for help. You can't, and people can't understand how to help you. So having the language, and Gracie, I haven't told you this because this was something that somebody messaged me today. Their daughter is, I think they're 17, so, and they've also had anxiety throughout their life. But they're now at college and managing, you know, having to deal with anxiety through different transitions. And they read it and they said that they totally related. But what they also feel is when they're calming down, it feels like Jeff's climbing down a ladder at the back. And what I felt was really, Gracie's looking at me confused because she doesn't, but what I'm saying by that is that what's good about you've done this for your needs and to help you articulate.
Yeah, I meant by confused, so it doesn't mean like it feels like tickling on
it might do, because we all experience the things, but it's like giving people the prompt to then go and be able to
your own like little,
and
like at the end when it says like come up with your own monster, then if a kid does it, they can like yeah, and there's also like 2 spare pages at the back which don't have anything on, which you can probably draw on.
Yeah, so at the end, if you want, do you want to read that last page? Well, one of the last pages.
If you have worries like a gooey slime that feel like a gooey slimy monster, first step is to give it a name and draw it. Make it look ridiculous. Laugh at it. Ha ha ha. And then it shows an image of like this worry monster that's called like Grumpy McBigbutt.
I don't know what I'm doing. I can't my camera.
I know it's what I really love is like the, you know, because actually if you look at Jeff, he's not the most attractive and we don't want him to be, do we? But like I love the kind of example that you've given, like he's got 3 eyes, he almost looks like he's got a nappy on. Oh, it's wholly
underfed. And that is, I mean, we are so
Miss James
thank you.
said when she saw that, she said, oh, do you want to know why it's probably got holy underpants? And I said, why? And she said, because of fart holes.
Fart.
That's what a teacher said.
Probably, and your teacher is absolutely right. I imagine his farts are very smelly.
Scarlett, one of my friends, said that he looks fluffy.
He looks fluffy.
I mean, look, because around him,
there is a bit of, but that could be like dripping slime, couldn't it?
Yeah, she was like, I thought he was fluffy.
But that's what people can take their interpretations, can't they? And that's, but I mean, we have got a lot to be. I mean, Helen Hill.
When
I told her about my initial plan with it, because it was just so beautiful and heartbreaking and powerful, and we thought, we went and looked at like Adobe and things. I said, what if we get this published? And I just thought I could just mock something up. You could do drawings, we can scan them in, and it would really just be for us, just so she's got a way of
like having it. I remember doing that.
Yeah,
looking on Adobe and being like, oh, that'll do.
Yeah, it was
that'll do.
Yeah, and we had no idea what we were doing and then I just mentioned it to Helen on a networking call, and she wanted to get into illustration. She's a graphic designer, and she offered so that she had something under her belt, because we were raising money, because it's going to money's going to her school. And mention that, because this is a big part of what we want to do with the money that we're making.
I'll make sure that we do that before we finish. Absolutely.
Okay, we'll do that at the end then. So Helen's contribution has been, she's really brought him to life and really brought just everything. We're just so grateful, aren't we? We just often sit there and go, oh my God, we're so lucky. We're so lucky.
And I guess she's brought to life your kind of vision of Jeff, and she's done that like really, really well, like really well.
It was a collaboration, wasn't it? You did. She'd be asking you what you thought of this, and then you had your hair cut, and she had to cut the hair. And
when I started, I had hair like really long.
Yeah, you've changed. You've changed.
So long.
It took so long. It did take a long time. It's been about a year, hasn't it?
Testing my patience.
It was about tested your patience.
I love that. Do you know what though? I think just to go back a little bit about something that Mum said there about a message that she got today about this, 17-year-old girl who had struggled with anxiety and stuff. And, this for me is absolutely that. It is a prompt for people to be able to do their own monster, to give them the words and give them the ideas of how they can manage it themselves. And it might not look anything like Jeff, but you're helping other people be able to have the words and the language and the skills to be able to just say how they feel and what that feels like. And even like Lisa, when you just said then, it's like, when everything's starting to calm down, Jeff kind of it goes down the back. And I was thinking, when it's anxiety, we often talk about like the chest, and I imagine here holding tight on your...
there is that beautiful, scary almost page. I think it's probably my most...
It's one of my favorites.
It's one of Gracie's favorite pages.
Fabulous.
One where he's holding on to her hair, and it's really that sense of can't breathe.
And that is exactly how anxiety feels. And it's almost like he gets up and we can't breathe and he's holding on. And then as we calm, it kind of is on the shoulder and then we kind of flick him off and he slides and like kind of hold on. That's down the back. And that's kind of, even you just, Gracie, you giving her that, even at 17, she's not the same age as you. She's 17 and she's already going, this is what Jeff is for me. And I'm like, I can so see that. So that is so fabulous. So you've wrote this with you wrote it, obviously you've collaborated, and which having wrote a book, that is really hard, just getting somebody else to give you that, help you with that vision that you have, let alone at 11. But you've done that. What do you want for your book now? What would you like to see your book do out there as Jeff is walking out there in the world? What do you think you would like him to do?
Well, I was just going to say the workshops because that's what you wanted to say.
Well, Helen is going to do, Helen Hill, the illustrator, is going to go around schools and do a workshop thing where like all about Jeff and anxiety.
So what Helen is Helen's not just she's been a designer, but she's also a teacher. That was her previous existence, and she designs previous existence. That's what it feels like when you've done that. When you get to this age, you feel like you've had different existences. But Helen she's spent years designing, learning for young people, for children. She's a learning designer. That's part of her design, a huge part of the main part of what she does. And she was so inspired by this that she then created these workshops based on Jeff, that she can go into schools and using Jeff as an example and taking the book into the schools. And of course, she lives miles away from us, but we want to sell enough to be able to get her to Gracie's school to deliver the workshop. Because if she's going to do the workshop based on Jeff, we want her in the author's school, don't we?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So to spread out and for her to be able to do it at other people's schools, brilliant. But we want her in Carmarthen. That's it first. That's where we wanted to start.
Absolutely. Oh, that is amazing. And how cool that your illustrator also has that experience, Gracie, because it's going to bring Jeff to life. like literally for lots and lots of kids. So that's just amazing. What would you say to parents out there, because it'll be parents that are listening to this podcast, that if their kids are struggling with anxiety, what would you say to those parents, Gracie?
She says, I don't know. Maybe by Jeff?
Yeah, by Jeff.
By Jeff. Absolutely. And I guess for me, I think the biggest thing for me is, and I know that you've had this from your mom, is to listen and to be there, and sometimes maybe not try and fix it, but help them fix it themselves. And I think that's what your book does. It really helps.
Just always be there for them, like just like making sure they're okay, and like not like
kind of keep checking in.
Yeah.
Keep checking in. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so you're going to raise some money. Is that to get Helen to school?
Yeah.
Awesome. Get him to Gracie, the famous author, school.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If I sell 100 books, she'll be able to come.
And we were on 55.
Yeah.
Yay! 55. How many days have you been out? How many days has this book been released?
It went live on Sunday, and we are now on Thursday.
Isn't it Saturday?
Saturday. Yes, you're
like
right.
Sorry,
Saturday.
On Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon, and we're now an afternoon on Thursday. Recorded this. So
amazing! That is so cool. So cool. Okay, so why? Big one, Gracie. Why should people buy your book?
Well, I mean, like, it's all about like anxiety, and if you feel like you have no way to like express how you feel and how you like, or even if like you have like a child who's just like you're not sure how they feel, and if you buy it, you can be like, is this how you feel? And if they're like, yeah, then it could be good as like a way to like, so instead of having the child have to explain exactly how they feel every single time, they can just be like, oh, Jeff is here, Jeff is there, which we've already said, but like, and like it's like all about anxiety, and like if you have anxiety, then knowing how other people feel and probably how you also feel is like really like powerful and like stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you're so right. It is so powerful. And I think we've already proved that there is no age limit on buying this book, because it will help parents, it will help teachers, it will help 17-year-olds who recognize a Jeff in themselves. But I think it gives adults who maybe haven't struggled with anxiety an insight into what it feels like. I think that residue of slime is so important to remember, and that sometimes it's just asleep, and sometimes you can have good days and things like that. So all those really powerful points that you've made, Gracie, is absolutely the reason why, and for no other reason. Even if you don't struggle with anxiety, or if you don't know anybody, which I would say is rare, that you don't know anybody with anxiety, buy the book, because we need the author's school to host.
Yes. We need to like a campaign, like get Helen to Carmarthen.
Yes.
I think a few people have bought it as well, and donated them to local schools, which I thought was so lovely. Like, if they don't have children at the moment in their lives at that age, they've bought it to donate, which I think like that. I thought that was so lovely, and people have messaged me to tell me that.
So I'll tell you what I have done. So it's really, do you go on KDP all the time to look?
Yeah. I'm looking at all the time. Yeah.
And also, when you get an email to say you're getting money in your bank account, you don't know it.
Yeah, we haven't had that yet, because they keep it for a while, don't they? So we haven't had that
for quite a while.
We're still waiting for
it. But yeah, you'll just get this random email, Gracie, that says like money's coming, and you're like, oh, how much is this? This is so cool. But this is what I would highly recommend to anybody who's listening, who who maybe doesn't need this book or doesn't know anybody who needs this book, but just to support this very young, creative and artistic author, if you buy this book at the princely sum, and cheap, I say, $9.99, is one of the things that I always do is and I'll do this with Gracie's book as well, is wherever I go, I will put a copy. So for instance, if I'm in an Airbnb and they've got a bookshelf, I'll make sure I take one with me and I'll slide it into their bookshelf. So somebody else gets it. Right? And the other thing that I'll do, and this is really cheeky, and if Sam Newey is listening to this podcast, this is all your idea.
I love that.
If she's already bought a copy, but if I get into trouble, it was Sam Newey's fault. So I go into service stations quite a lot, because if I'm traveling and I stop and get like a cup of tea or whatever, or lunch, I go into WH Smith and I put a book on the number 1 slot. So I will do that with your book and take a picture. Your number 1 in the WH Smith's chat. So I'll do that next time I'm at a service station. I'll keep a copy in my car so I can specifically do that for you.
But the thing is, though, nobody can buy it, because they'll probably pick it up and be like, oh, this looks good, go and buy it, and they're like, you can't buy this.
Yeah, but then they'll go and look at it on the internet.
Yeah, but also as well, what happens is, so I don't know if you've thought of this, but you can put it up on Ingram Spark. Our lovely friend Erin.
Right, okay, yeah, Erin is
Erin will tell you. It's almost exactly the same. There's just a different template, that's all. But Ingram Spark is where any bookshop in the world can order from Ingram Spark.
Oh, wow.
So it's amazing. So I get lots of sales on various different ones because of that. But what I would say is, the reason put it up at WH Smith's, because they're the biggest producers of books here. So if then they pick this up and go, can I buy this? And they go, I'm sorry, it's not on our thing. They will then put in the system and say, where is this? That spikes. Where is this book? They'll look for it, and then they'll look on Ingram Spark and order it. So it's to kind of roller coaster.
We are going to go. We're just waiting for a couple more copies, because the author copies took weeks, didn't they? It was like 2 weeks for the author copies.
February to the 7th.
Yeah, so we bought this, like the normal one, but then we bought the author copy so we can go out into town in the local bookshops, and there's like a Waterstones and stuff like that, and go and have a conversation with the people who work there as well, just to, because it's local, isn't it, as well? I think there's a nice element to that, but of course also international. It has arrived in Spain, it has arrived in America. It is it's getting about already.
Cool. You almost need like a little map. But when you have a look at KDP, it will tell you, and any authors out there, it will tell you where, what countries it's like most. So I've had loads of sales randomly in Italy, and I don't know why. Obviously it does, but it gives you like a little map. It's really cool. Gracie, I can see a bit of a collaboration going on where we do, like, you and I do a workshop together. I do a workshop for the parents and you do a workshop for the kids. I think it'll be amazing. I'll come over.
She's nodding her head, but she also looks petrified. Looks like Jeff just woke up at the thought of that.
Well, how about we see if we can commission a really big Jeff mascot like outfit, get it made for us? That would be amazing.
Oh my goodness, she's trying to get me to crochet Jeff's as well.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with crocheting ducks at the moment. So
you're not finishing it up.
Yeah, they haven't got any eyes or beaks, so I don't really know if they look like ducks.
They were supposed to be done by literally
I know, so maybe don't rely on me to crochet anything.
Yeah, and definitely that's not my forte, Gracie. Sorry, I'd offer my services, but I'd be less skilled than your mum for sure. Okay, listen, I just want to say a big thank you, not just for coming today, but for writing this very, very important book for everyone out there who really needs to get a hold of Jeff and and understand more about their Jeff or name, whatever name they decide. But yeah, Gracie, can I just say, I cannot wait. If you're doing this at 11, I cannot wait to see what kind of grown up you turn into. You'll be amazing.
Thank you.
Good.
She's sitting there like,
so yes, and I must just say, obviously, Lisa has her own business, and not just PR guru to Gracie Barry, but actually
I
has
think I
her
may
own.
have to like just change now and that become my full-time
Or
job.
make a whole Facebook page for Jeff.
Make a whole Facebook page for Jeff. We could do.
I think so. I think we need to demand Jeff's Facebook page.
I think I could imagine him living on a place like Twitter. Not that Twitter exists anymore.
Yeah.
Just like sitting there saying like sarcastic, on X. I don't think neither of us want to spend time on that platform.
No.
But I just can imagine he's the sort of monster that would like it on there.
Yes, he would. I think maybe
A lot of drama. Yeah, I think he likes the drama.
I think if he went on X, he'd be bigger than all three of us put together. I don't think we could cope with him. His ego would be too big if he went on X, for sure.
He'd be challenging Elon Musk.
Yeah. Come at me. I bet you I could beat you. I bet you I could swallow you up in the slime. Come on.
Yeah. Elon Musk in his slime. I love that.
Gracie, where can somebody buy This Is Jeff book now if they wanted a copy?
On Amazon.
Okay.
It's on Amazon right now.
Amazon everywhere, I'm guessing, as well.
Yes, Amazon everywhere.
Excellent. So please, I'm going to ask 3 things of our audience today to say thank you to Gracie and to Lisa, but mainly to Gracie. I'm going to ask you, 1, to go out and support this very young, very talented author. And, when we say go out and support, and for some, £10 is going to be a lot. For others, you are investing in a future of this young person. And I, for one, cannot wait to see what she's going to do. For 2, if you buy or when you buy this book, I want to see photos of you buying this book and where they are. All right. And then 3, I want you to send lots of love to Gracie Barry via Lisa. You can do it via my socials, via Lisa's social, which is Lisa Barry Online.
That's right.
Just sending lots of love, because we need more Gracies in this world, people. So please support this young author with this amazing and very, very important book. So thank you, Gracie. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Gracie, do we get a hand wave? Goodbye. We get a hand on the cat. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to put the links to the book underneath the podcast. So please, guys, go out and support this amazing author, Gracie Barry. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Say bye. Bye.